So this is Baruch at the Tigun Elevator Kolo, and this year today in the Sifra Ditzniuta. I forgot to record it, so I'm doing it again on my own without a chavrusa. We're going to begin on page Reish Mem Test, and I'm going to move as fast as I can. Dor Hamabul Kasa B'Torah. So now we're talking about the Kitzer Chaya Adam Dor Hamabul. Why is it that the life expectancy of man changed after the flood? So he said, Dor Hamabul Kasa B'Torah, written V'yomer Hashem lo yadun ruchi ba'adam la'olam v'shagam hu basar. So the people are flesh and blood. We're going to be pushed down in a certain way. He's not going to allow his ruach, that is Hashem, is not going to allow his ruach to stay with it. Let's go on and let's see what we're actually talking about. V'yomer Hashem kad is yashev b'zer anpin. So now yashev here means settled into zer anpin, but it also means to blow into zer anpin or breathe into zer anpin. V'yomer Havaya kavona she'erik anpin amma b'shash nisyasa b'dishlavish b'zer anpin, when he's inside of zer anpin and manifest there. Hanikra Havaya zer anpin is called Havaya. V'inyan hu, the Inyan is like this: Ki hagam d'shem Havaya hu rak b'zer anpin. The name is only in the zer anpin. V'lo be'erik anpin does not have that name. Im kol zecha v'kosiv kan be'erik anpin. The here it says v'yomer Havaya, but so he's speaking through Havaya, which is zer anpin. V'isha ayre be'erik anpin amayusha b'luluva b'zer anpin hanikra Havaya. So there's clothed inside of zer anpin, who's called Yud Kei Vav Kei. Thus nikra gam erik anpin b'shem Havaya. Mikan dekad amra b'shem omru. Nimsa de erik anpin amar devarim elu b'shem zer anpin hanikra Havaya. So that we see that zer anpin, that erik anpin, amar devarim elu b'shem zer anpin, he's saying these things in the name of zer anpin. Hanikra Havaya was called Yud Kei Vav Kei. Because zer anpin, erik anpin, is inside of zer anpin and speaking through zer anpin, who is more physical. So now we're talking about every place else that we see this in Yonim. The parts of Elyon, Omer Devarim b'shem Omru, that the upper parts of them, meaning the interior parts of, is speaking out through the Shem Omro, that parts of which is able to speak. In this case, it's zer anpin. Kizecha parts of Elyon hu erik anpin. Amislavish b'toch zer anpin. Kadu b'shem betzinu kan, like we find here. Could go ma'ashem betzinu she parts of Elyon. Amr bin nishpati nu mashem. So he said bin nishpati is said by erik anpin. Num havaya, but it's zer anpin that actually utters the words, so to speak. We're talking about that. He's the one that swears. Naum Hashem. Ki erik anpin hu ha'omer devarim b'shem omro, because it's erik anpin who says things in the name of his speaker. Shehu zer anpin. More like we said before, and we're going back to what we said over there. Dahainu erik anpin. So we have to understand, as the pasuk goes on, Lo yadun ruchi ba'adun la'olam. I'm not going to allow my ruach to be inside of this physical man forever. When we're talking about the ruach comes from erik anpin. So the pasuk, because the secret of the pasuk is this: the atika sasim ka'amar. The atika, which is erik anpin, Hasasim dahainu erik anpin, hasasim aluva b'toch zer anpin, which is clothed in zer anpin b'zman Dor Hamabul, at the time of the flood. Lo yadun ruchi ba'adam la'ela. That's when he said that my ruach will not be with them all the time. Shelo yiskaim ruchi shel erik anpin b'soch adam ha'elyon. But he means not the physical man. He means the man zer anpin, that I will remove my manifestation in zer anpin. Adam Elyon Shehu Zer Anpin V'Ratam Lazen. What's the reason? Mishum Debahachu Ruchu Deisnash V'Rabetrin Nukvin Debadashka. Because he says the feet Shebaosa Ruach Hachayim, this breath of life shall erik anpin Hanoshev, with breeze the Zer Anpin into Zer Anpin Mishnei Nikve Hachoitim de erik anpin, that comes from the two nostrils of erik anpin, which are called by the name Pardashka. The Mashech the Satoi. It brings along with it a tremendously long life, al b'nei adam, to people at Tachtonim. because we're also just like Eric Anpin is manifest in Zer Anpin, so Zer Anpin is also manifest in us. So therefore, in the first generation, shall Eric Anpin or Zer Anpin, that it was breathing into Zer Anpin. And people lived 1,000 years. But that has been interrupted, that breath of the Ruach Chaim shall Eric Anpin or Zer Anpin is stopped. And as a result of that, our lives are shortened. Again, kach, and for this reason, his life was 120 years, and where it used to be 1,000. So their lives became shorter. Now we're going to get into an explanation of that, and let's see what we can do. He said, Yud shlim v'lo shlim. So let's take the letter Yud. The Yud is the first letter of Yud Kevavke. He said, Yud b'milui vav daled. Spelled like this with a milui is sharomas la'abba. This is a reference to Abba, probably Abba v'ima, but we're saying Abba was the highest level of connection to Eric Anpin. And from that Yud, you can also develop the Milui, Shehem Zer V'nuk, which also refer to the lower world, Zachar V'nuk. Hu Shalim V'ein Shalim. That particular Yud with the Vav Daled is considered to be complete and not complete. Aval Yud below Milui Sharom is the Eric Anpin, but if you take the Yud and has no Milui, and it's a Shehu Sanson V'ne'elam canal, which is hidden away, like we said, who's shalom, that is complete, just the Yud by itself. So what happened in the time of the flood, it says that the breath of light stopped. Shal chotem Eric Anpin el Zer Anpin canal. V'lechein ein Zer Anpin mekabel es or shal Eric Anpin besod os Yud b'lecha b'milui shul shalom. So that it has only the Yud, it's not without a milui. The first thing is the mochin of Abba coming to Zer Anpin, and that is the secret, the Yud Vav Daled b'milui Vav Daled shuhu shalom v'chein l'shalom. Vaz mislavish or Eric Anpin b'sach Zer Anpin, and this causes the light of Eric Anpin to shine to the Zer Anpin Abba through an intermediary. That is the light of the moach of Abba. The Nimshah the La'achar Dor Hamabul, so it comes out like this, that after the generation of the flood, Ein Meir Ha'or Shal Eric Anpin Atzba B'Zer Anpin, Ela B'Derek Hislavshus, only by being clothed. The Ficha Niskatzu Shnos Chai B'nei Adam, and this causes the life expectancy of people down below, Atachtoinim, L'Meir V'Estrim, to come to the number of 120 years. Bilvad Canal. And the reason why it's referenced by the letter Yud b'milui shuhu shalem ve'enu shalem, which is a shalem means it's the Yud, but it also has a part that's not the Yud itself. Yud b'luchudui meya, so the Yud now becomes 100. The fisha os Yud by itself, he meya dehainach of Yud pamim Yud. That's 10 times 10 because it's 10 spheros with 10 spheros in them. Each one of them has 10. Trin asvan trin zimnim. V'shtei os is vav daled, so without the milui, he said b'chem esrim, you can add them up to be 20. The hainu beis pamim yud, that each one would be, say, like a yud by itself. He said v'hineh she'os of vav daled olim rak asara, so the vav daled only becomes 10, right? Vav and daled makes 10. Mekeben she'asara lo nechlalo yachad ba'os achad. So since they're actually not just one letter, which would mean that it has 10 spheros in it, each one of them is individual, and each one of them is going to have 10. Ella nischalku bebeis osius, the kachem nechfalim la'esrim, so therefore when you double them, they become 20. Each one of them is a 10 by itself. That's how you get a number, me'ah ve'esrim shana. Hariki shlosh osius shel yud vav daled b'milui. When you see the whole thing, romezes the me'ah ve'esrim shana, you can touch it up to 120 years. By Inyan Huki Yud Pamim Yud Romas the Eser Sifra Shal Zer Anpin. It's really a reference to the 10 spheres of Zer Anpin. Asher called Sfira Kalulim Eser Spheros Hare Kan Meya. So there you have Nakama of 100. 1 second, for a second, and I'm not sure exactly, but I'm going to go to this place right here. It says, Yud b'chalucha b'kadi is gal yib'ze'era. So the Lord Yud by itself, when that is revealed in Zer Anpin, ki kasher ha'os Yud bilvad below milui. You see it by the milui. Shall Erik Anpin, Mizgalis Meira Bezer Anpin, when it's revealed, shining in Zer Anpin, below Hislav Shu B'mochin the Abba Besod Oz Vav Dawah, those Yud Vav Dawah, so it's not shining like that with the Milui. Ismashik Be'eser Alofim Shana, that's what causes the lives to be extended to 1,000 years. So Esmashik Be'eser Alofim to tens, thousands of years, that means each of the 10 spheros of those are going to be thousands. So that's where you get the concept of thousands of years. Ki ha'oz yud shel erik anpin yesh ba es spheres, it has 10 spheros. Asher calls sphera kalula elef, and each one of them is 1,000. Hare kan asaris alafim shana. So this is a series of 10 thousands of years. Va'inyan hu ki be'erik anpin. Misrabech hamasak bebechinas alofim. So there we say, excuse me, misrabech misbar, because Erik Anpin is so incredibly high that its count will always be by thousands. V'lechein kodem Dor Hamabul. So therefore, before the flood, shenizgala or shel Erik Anpin, where you had then a revelation of the light of Erik Anpin, bezer Anpin, into Zer Anpin, choya kol echad chayim eruchim shel elef shanim. All of them lived 1,000 years. Who sowed klalos on hagas ha'olam be'asaris alafim shanas. This is how the world ran, that people lived thousands of years, 1,000 years. Asher shloshach alafim achronim kodem elef asiri, because the first 3,000 years, before you get to the 10,000th years, hem keneged shlosha mokim asher kol echad behem kolo elef shanim. So this is really the gar, which comes to each one of them as 1,000 years. The greatness of this height of 1,000 years, whom mitzad gilui are parts of the elyon shel Erik Anpin, is because of the pure revelation of the revealing of the parts of Erik Anpin in Zer Anpin ka'amar mekan kasiv, and therefore it writes like this. Of the bekan the lamata, from this place going down, the hind of mitzad parts of atachlim shuhu Zer Anpin. So there you see the hismatis of the light and the secret of Me'ashan. So this is what it said, that you should spread upon me his hand, or your hand, his hand. So he said, so what does that phrase mean, which is coming from Tehillim? The Kumas Adam Rishon, originally the height of Adam Rishon, was high. It went all the way up to the ends of the heaven. So that what happened is that after this, metaphorically, that Hashem pushed Adam Rishon down. He put his hands on top of his head and pushed him downwards, and limited his height. Lemea Amma Bilvad, to only 100 Ammas. For who Romas the Kumas Zer Anpin, and this is a reference to the height of Zer Anpin, because Shehi Bebechin Katnas, when Zer Anpin is a status of Katnas. Below Mochin the Chochma Bebina, that have no Mochin the Chochma Bebina. V'chein Einbo Rak Eses Sphira, so then he only has 10 spheres. I should call Sphira Kalula Me'esa, that each sphere therefore has 10 within it. Shuhumeya, which is 10 times 10 is 100. And he says like this, 100 Amma. Amnam apasuk v'hoyu yomav meya ve'esrim shana, that we saw that his days were 120 years. Darsha Chazal, the rabbis can explain that this is referring to Moshe Rabbeinu. V'hu Romas the Kumas Zer Anpin, and it's a reference to the height of Zer Anpin, Keshuhu bebechinas gadlus b'mochin the Chochma Bebina, which is the concept of the greatness of the mochim of Chochma Bebina. Moshe Shahayu B'darga Zer Anpin, so Moshe, who was in the Darga of Zer Anpin, Zacha la'alos l'Chochma Bebina, he was able to reach up to that level. V'hinei b'shtei Sfiras Chochma Bebina, each one of them should call Achaz Galula Me'eser, that each one of them has 10 Sfiros. Heim Esrim, that makes 20. Vehe Mea, that's a Mea with a Shal Kumas, Zer Anpin, which is the height of Zer Anpin. He was pushed down to that height. Hare Kan Mea of Esrim, which is talking about the Sviros of Abba Ve'ima. And that's the shir today, and I went through it quickly because I did.